A wise person. In a small village surrounded by towering mountains and endless forests, there lived a man known only as a wise person. He was a figure of great mystery, never revealing his true name and never speaking unless absolutely necessary. His silence, however, was not born out of pride, but out of a profound understanding of the world around him. From sunrise to sunset, a wise person would sit by the river watching the water flow, or stand beneath the tall oaks, listening to the wind whisper through the leaves. His neighbors, curious yet wary of his quietness, often wondered about the thoughts that swirled inside his head. Some called him a fool, others a sage, but a wise person never bothered to correct them, knowing that wisdom was not in proving one's intellect, but in the patience to understand life in its purest form. One day, a wealthy and boastful merchant named Barthel arrived in the village. Barthel was known far and wide for his sharp tongue and quick wit, and he took pleasure in outsmarting everyone he met. When he heard about a wise person, Barthel could not resist the opportunity to test his cleverness against the quiet villager. He approached a wise person with a smirk on his face and said, "You, who claim to be wise without speaking, answer me this. What is the greatest treasure one can possess?" The villagers gathered around, eager to see the exchange, believing that the merchant would finally break a wise person's silence. But a wise person did not answer right away. Instead, he simply smiled and gestured for Barthel to follow him to the riverbank, where the water flowed steadily. As they walked along the river, a wise person remained silent, while Barthel grew increasingly impatient. "Do you not have an answer? Or is your wisdom just an illusion?" Barthel taunted. Without saying a word, a wise person bent down, picked up a small stone from the riverbed, and handed it to Barthel. Confused, the merchant examined the stone, which was smooth and ordinary. "What is this supposed to mean?" Barthel asked, his voice tinged with frustration. A wise person finally spoke, his voice calm and steady like the river. "This stone has been shaped by the water over many years," he said. "It started as something rough and unremarkable, but with time it has become smooth and beautiful. Wisdom is like this stone. It is not something that can be grasped in an instant. It is shaped by patience, experience, and the willingness to learn from what is around you." Barthel, taken aback by the simplicity and depth of the answer, had no clever retort. The villagers, who had been listening closely, began to murmur amongst themselves, realizing that the wisdom they had been searching for in grand speeches and clever words had been present in the quiet simplicity of a wise person all along. Barthel, humbled by the encounter, nodded and said, "Perhaps I have been too quick to speak and too slow to listen." A wise person gave a slight smile and returned to his place by the river, watching the water flow once again, content in the knowledge that true wisdom is not about proving oneself to others, but in understanding the world with patience and humility. And from that day on, even the most boastful of villagers began to appreciate the silent wisdom of a wise person, knowing that sometimes the greatest lessons are the ones spoken in silence.